I'm very pleased to be here on My Magical Thing with Emma Kathryn, witch, obeah woman, voodooisante, author, and teacher. Emma, it's lovely to have you here. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you for having me. I'm so honoured to come on. I was just saying how much I love this show, so I'm honoured.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you've been enjoying them. And now it's your turn. So I have to ask, Emma Kathryn, please may we see your magical thing?
You may indeed. So, after much deliberation, because it's such a hard thing to choose just one, so after much deliberation, I made a choice. And I thought I would share with people one of my obeah tools. So, it is one of my spirit dolls I use in obeah. So, yeah, I thought I'd show this one for you to see. So, just a little clay and natural fibre figurine. And so for those who don't know, obeah, I often describe it as being a magical and spiritual system from the Caribbean. But of course, as with most things, it's a little bit more complex than that. So obviously it had its origins in Africa, but my family, or my paternal side of the family, come from Jamaica. And so the form I practice is Jamaican obeah. And so this is one of the items I use quite a lot in my craft.
If you're able to, could you share a little bit more? I mean, how is this particular item used in your practice, Emma? How does it work?
Yeah. So for me, obeah, I call myself an animist. And for me, animism is one of those things that kind of weaves through all of the different parts of my different practices and kind of blends them all together. And the same as in obeah. So I often describe it as a spiritual magical system. And so the difference between, say, obeah and perhaps the witchcraft that many of us are familiar with is, for me, it's that spirit aspect. So you're working with the spirits of obeah. And this particular doll is quite an important part of my practice. And so it represents Sasa Bonsam. And so I use this when I do ritual, when I do workings, when I do any kind of, well, anything really that honors that particular spirit, or when I might need to kind of inspire those particular energies and qualities associated with it. And so it's kind of used in that way, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Makes total sense. Can you tell me more about the spirit in particular? It's not one I'm familiar with. So
yes, well, it typically it's one of those, and we hear this story so often of where nature spirits from other places become demonized through whatever processes, and the meetings of different people have always been fraught with conflict and love throughout the ages. And so for me, working with Sasa Bonsam, it's not anything kind of demonic or evil, despite the connotations that are often. So if you do a little bit of research, you'll probably come across some stories that relate to him as being a vampiric figure. Very much one of his titles is a devil. So there are those kind of links between traditional witchcraft and obeah. And I kind of like that in a way. In fact, there is a saying that when if Sasa Bonsam is at a funeral, he'll stop over at a witch's house. That's like a Jamaican saying. So so it's very much associated with magic, with nature. Typically, though, he's a nature spirit, and one of his other titles is as the Lord of the Forest. So he's kind of seen as a protector. So many of his stories talk about he sits up in the treetops and snatches up unsuspecting hunters. But of course, as with many of these stories, it's often, they're often morals and fables, aren't they? They deliver a message, and it talks about kind of respecting nature, taking only what you need. So of course, if you're a kind person only taking what you need from the land, you've got nothing to worry about. However, if greed is your motivating factor, then you best beware.
That's fantastic. So if I'm understanding that correctly, so this, like a lot of those kind of spirits, like a nature spirit who becomes demonized, becomes this kind of like horned, scary figure. But when you kind of peel back that admittedly sometimes quite kind of entrancing and entertaining kind of wrapper. What you find inside is like something closer to, I can see an image of Pan, I think, behind you. So
yes.
So
Oh yes, that's one of my
yeah.
favorite ones. Yes. Exactly. And and I think when we think about nature anyway, we often kind of glorify those beautiful aspects. So like in the UK right now, it's kind of experiencing the first day of a heat wave, fingers crossed. And we think about all of those nice aspects of nature, how lovely and nurturing nature is, but we also kind of gloss over the fact that nature is also deadly, and if you don't respect nature. So I often use, like, as an example, I like to go out walking, hiking, and even in relatively places where you might think it's relatively safe, or there's no massive mountain or there's no massive lake. If you're not prepared and the weather turns, you're in trouble. Even in little England, we still have those places here. And so we often forget that nature has teeth and claws as well. And so I think many of these stories and many of these spirits incorporate all of those aspects of nature, the good and the things that we might consider not so good, but that are necessary.
Emma Kathryn, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing the story of your magical thing. May we have another little glance at the spirit doll in question? Would you mind holding?
Yes. So this is Sasa Bonsan. So his head, and forgive my own artistic endeavors, but I crafted the head, and the rest is natural materials. So we've got natural cotton thread, we've got wooden beads, we've got foraged materials such as wood, and there's some moss under there that you probably can't see too much of as well. But all of these places for me are special. All of them contain spirit, and they're all collected when I've been out in nature, and so for me they're very meaningful. Everybody should make spirit dolls.
Emma, that's really appreciated. Thank you very much for taking the time to share with us your animist, spiritist, magical thing. It's really appreciated, my friend. Thank
you so much.
Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.